Have you ever made art just by using words?
When I have a worry-filled mind, I like to wander outside. No telling what we might find. Birds calling, worms crawling, leaves falling down from above. Oh, I plant my feet on the ground. I keep my head in the clouds. I let my feelings out loud. I hear joy calling, fear crawling, tears falling down out of love.
Welcome, friends. Thank you so much for joining me today. My name is Mrs. A, and I am really glad that you're here. Anytime you visit me for a lesson, you'll notice that I start off with a feelings or a zones check-in. And that's because I know how important it is for us to take time for ourselves, take time to listen to our brains and our bodies, and understand what they're feeling. All of the different feelings and emotions that we feel as humans are all okay. They're all normal. They may make us feel confused or overwhelmed sometimes. They may make us feel excited and eager at other times. But each time we take a moment to notice them and name them, we actually help our body feel more settled and more comfortable, even if we don't notice it right away. The more we practice at it, the better our muscles get at being able to do it, the better our body feels at being able to name it and notice it and share it or communicate it with others. So today, we're going to notice our zone. And there are 4 color zones here in the zones of regulation. And they each kind of describe a way we may be feeling without specifically saying the name of a feeling or emotion. For example, sometimes in the morning, I wake up and I feel like I'm in the blue zone. I feel like I just can't do anything. I feel tired. My body feels heavy or slow moving. Sometimes when I'm feeling sad or lonely, I'm in the blue zone as well. And then there are times where I feel in the green zone. My body feels comfortable, my brain feels clear, and I'm able to focus on different activities or jobs that I have. Sometimes I feel like I'm losing control and I'm in the yellow zone. I feel like my thoughts are getting confused. I feel like I'm getting frustrated or agitated easily. Sometimes I'm in the yellow zone when I'm feeling really worried or nervous about something. And there are other times where I'm in the red zone, where I'm feeling out of control. I'm feeling like I can't think clearly. My brain is totally jumbled. I'm stressed. I'm overwhelmed. I'm easily agitated or angered. And none of these zones are good or bad. They just are, sort of like the weather. And sometimes we can figure out what is making us feel like we're in one zone, another. And other times we're not quite sure, but we just feel out of control or we feel slow moving. And so it's important, like I said, that we practice noticing what zone we're in, naming it, and practice identifying our feelings and our emotions. And so we do that every time we come together. Today, we're going to practice naming our color zone. So will you take a moment and listen to your body? It's sending you messages all the time. For example, if your stomach is feeling upset or bothered, you might be feeling in the yellow zone, like you're losing control, like something is making you feel worried or distracted. For example, if your body feels rested and focused, you might be feeling in the green zone. You may be able to think clearly and do all the jobs that you have to do. And so listen for those messages, notice them, and then grab an object that matches the color zone you're in right now. Let's do it. Did you find an object that matches your color zone? Me too. I found this yellow piece of chalk. feel like I'm losing a little bit of control. My brain's a little distracted right now, feeling a little bit confused at some of the things that I know I have to get done today. And so I'm in the yellow zone at the moment. What zone are you in? Thanks so much for practicing that and for naming your color zone or even trying to name your feeling. It's really great for us to do that for ourselves and for the people around us. So thank you. Another thing that's really great for us to do for ourselves and for our body is to exercise and move and build our muscles and raise our heart rate. In order to help keep our bodies healthy, we have to work out our heart because it is a muscle. And when we can increase our heart rate and get it beating quickly and then slowly bring it back down, it builds that heart muscle and helps keep us healthy. And so we're going to do a little exercise today connected to the date. Now, the date for me may be different than the date for you, and that's okay. I just use the date to help me get started. And so you can use the numbers I have or the date by you, whatever works. The date for me is 4/6/22. So I'll do 4 moves, 6 different moves, and then 22 different moves. And I have a friend here who always helps show one exercise or move we'll do, and that's Fig. Fig likes to show us one of the moves, and then they ask us to guess based on our observations what we notice as we look at them. So you can maybe make that shape with your body, think about what workout or exercise it reminds you of, and then you can make some guesses. Fig will let us know in a little bit what move they're showing. To start us off, we're going to do 4 shoulder rolls. And we can do shoulder rolls sitting or standing, and we can do them backwards or forwards, or a little bit of both. And all we have to do is relax or rest our arms at our side and then lift our shoulders up and back, up and forward. We'll do this for 4 counts, but we're only going to count by 2s because 4 is an even number and we can share it equally. So we won't say 1, we will say 2, we won't say 3, we will say 4. Are you ready? Let's do our 4 shoulder rolls. 2, 4. Nice work. Now we have 6 moves to do. And I thought we could work on some of our leg muscles today. So we're going to do 6 squats. You'll have to stand up for this if you're able. And when we do a squat, we want to bend our legs until our bum almost touches the ground, but not quite. It's almost like we're taking a seat in the air. And we'll do this to build our leg muscles and get our heart rate beating fast. Let's do 6 squats. Again, counting by 2s. 2, 4, 6. Wonderful work. And finally, Fig has our 22 moves. Now you may be noticing a pattern. All of our even numbers inspire us to count by 2s, and 22 ends in a 2. So it is odd or even? It's even, yes. So we're going to do 22 jumping jacks. Thanks, Fig. Were you able to guess that, friends? Nice work. If you weren't able to guess Fig's move yet, that's okay. You can always come back and watch another episode and see if you can figure it out. Let's do 22 jumping jacks, counting by 2s. Ready? 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20, 22. Awesome job. Fig, thanks for that fun workout. Now, friends, after we get our heart rates up and we warm our muscles, it's always good for us to cool down our bodies and slow our heart rate again. So we take 3 big breaths in order to do that. When you hear a bell, that's your cue to breathe in big and slowly let it out. Ready? Amazing job. Thanks so much for trying those exercises with me. Now, at the beginning of this episode, I asked if you've ever made art just by using words. And I'm curious, have you? Well, the reason I asked is because April is National Poetry Month, and poetry is an incredible way to be creative and share your creativity and ideas by using words. Let me tell you a little bit more about poetry in my message. Scoot close so you can see. And as I'm reading, or you're following along and reading yourself, notice any alliterations or onomatopoeias. If you're not sure what an alliteration or onomatopoeia is, go back and watch another episode of mine and you'll hear a good description of them. You can also spot them throughout all of my messages. Dear imaginative, inventive, and creative kids, April is National Poetry Month. Have you ever read or written a poem? Poems are usually short pieces of writing that convey or communicate a feeling, idea, or experience. They often have some creative or playful elements in them, like rhyme, fancy formatting, or dazzling descriptions. There are special types of poems, like acrostics, haikus, sonnets, limericks, and more. Each special type of poem follows a specific style or structure. Today, we're going to hear some poems about famous poets and think about what might inspire us to write our own poems. Love, Mrs. A. So, have you ever written a poem before? Oh, wow. And if you haven't written a poem yet, that's okay. Today, I'm hoping to inspire you to give it a try. The amazing thing about poetry is there's no right or wrong way to do it. All you have to do is think about what inspires you, what is important to you, what excites you, what is interesting to you, and write. And we're going to look at some poems that may inspire us right now. This beautiful book I have here is called Out of Wonder, and it's poems that celebrate poets. It's by Kwame Alexander and Chris Colderly and Marjorie Wentworth, and the illustrations are by Akua Holmes. And I love, love, love this book because it has a poem for everyone and every occasion. And it also teaches us all about famous poets. And on this National Poetry Month, I wanted to kick us off with this piece of art. Not only are the illustrations beautiful art, but the poems are art as well. Art made with words, as I mentioned. So be sure to grab yourself a copy of this book from my link in the description or from your local library. However you get your books, any way you can surround yourselves with beautiful literature and creative poems is awesome. Let's read a few of these poems today. We'll actually look at a poem written by each of the authors, because you may have heard there are 3 authors in this book. How to Write a Poem, celebrating Naomi Sahabnai. Hush. Grab a pencil, some paper, spunk. Let loose your heart, raise your voice. What if I have many voices? Let them dance together, twist and turn like best friends in a maze till you find your way to that one true word or 2. Kwame Alexander. Did this poem make you feel anything? Did you hear any playful words or rhymes or beats? I love this poem because it is celebrating one of my favorite poets who we'll learn more about later this month. So if you haven't already, be sure to hit that red subscribe button, because when I share these books throughout the month, if you are subscribed, you'll get little reminders about my new videos and lessons. This next poem we'll hear is called The Blue Alphabet, and it is celebrating Terrence Hayes. Make a paint box out of letters, and add water and dip your brush. Swirl it on the paper with style, while you are humming a tune, smiling, or standing still, waiting for the school bus. You can dazzle your friends with the words you have made and strung together like beads around your neck. By Marjorie Wentworth. Do you remember when I asked if you made art using words? This poem makes me think of how we can make art using just words, using words like paint on paper, using words like beads on a necklace. One final poem to share with you today. The Poet Inside Me, celebrating Sandra Cisneros. You are the little girl from Mango Street, the one with the lazy locks and an old red sweater on her desk. You are the only daughter, the traveler with dos lenguas, the one who holds Papa when he weeps. You are the fairy tales in mi vida, the words in my alphabet soup, the book in my backpack for the trip to school. You are La Luna that glows when I sleep, the poet inside me, waiting to rise like the morning sun. By Chris Colderley. And this poem is celebrating a poet and author that I really loved, Sandra Cisneros. She has a book called The House on Mango Street, and we heard that mentioned here. And there were also some words in this poem that were not in English, they were in Spanish. Maybe you spotted them. And that is because Sandra Cisneros speaks Spanish and English. And I love that this poem included both of her languages, or dos lenguas, 2 languages. And as I mentioned, this book is filled with information about each of the poets that's celebrated in it. So if you grab a copy for yourself, you'll see in the back there are great descriptions about each of the poets that are celebrated and recognized and honored in this stunning book. Now, my friends, we have our mindful moment. And if you visited with me before, you know that we always end our time with a mindful moment to help us practice being present, to help us practice focusing our mind and our energy on just ourselves and what's happening right in front of us. And it's also a great way for us to manage our emotions or change zones if we're feeling stuck. Earlier, we talked about the different color zones and mentioned the different feelings or emotions we experience. And sometimes we feel stuck in them. Sometimes, even when we name them, we're not sure that we can feel comfortable with them, or we'd like them to move on and end their visit. And practicing mindfulness is a way for us to try to make sense of or manage our feelings or emotions. And mindfulness is a really big word with a lot of different ways to do it. And so each time we visit together, I share a different way to practice being mindful. Sometimes it's a mindful stretch where we use different parts of our body. Sometimes it's a mindful breath where we focus our breathing in a certain way. Other times it's a mindful listening or looking activity. And so I like to offer you lots of different ways to practice mindfulness so you can try them out and see which ones work best for you. Today we're going to do a mindfulness breathing activity. And it's inspired by National Poetry Month and these beautiful poems we've heard. And it uses our fingers. And I thought this was great because when we write poetry, we need to use our fingers and our hands to create the words and put together our sentences and our poems. And so we're going to do a mindful breathing activity where we'll start by putting our thumbs and our pinkies together. And when we breathe in, we'll slowly tap our thumb to each finger as we go out toward our pointer finger. So as we breathe in, we'll go. And then as we breathe out, we'll move back and touch all of our fingers again in the opposite direction. So we breathed in, and we'll breathe out. And we'll do this for 5 breaths. We'll really try to focus on our breathing here, and our fingers will help remind us. So let's start by putting our thumbs and our pinkies together and breathing in as we tap each finger. We'll do this for 5 breaths. Ready? Breathe out. Breathe in. Breathe out. 3 more on your own. Thank you for taking that time to practice some mindful breathing. What do you notice about yourself after doing that? Mm, yeah, me too. I noticed that it was a little tricky at first, but the more I practiced it, the better I got. Mm, felt lighter. Oh, cool. Mm, I love that our fingers and hands were involved, and I hope you can keep your fingers and hands involved today as you go off and write your own poems and practice being a poet yourself. Thank you so much for visiting with me today. I want to send you off with some love if you'd like it, a hug if you want it, and I can't wait to see you next time.